Hello and welcome to the Global Star Party, your weekly look at the night sky, depending on where on the world you are. Hi, I'm back. I'm alive. I'm kind of here. Although the power might go out to me, so if that's the case, Dylan is here this evening, this morning, depending on where you are, and I can just click on him and he can do all the do-double. Hi, I'm back. Well then, if you're wondering. What we're looking at right now, we have got live views in the night sky, although I've only just logged in, so I'm not sure actually how the clouds are going for these guys. So first of all, hello Dylan, how's the sky?
Hey, it's not too bad. I've got dark skies. The moon's just gone away, thank God.
Yes.
I'm having some trouble getting my screen back. But
it's alright, you've got a very dark sky. So dark, we can't see anything.
That's right.
Have you tried turning it on or off again? You never know, it might work. Well, Dylan, so you've got clear skies. This is good. This is a good start. Despite the fact we can't see your gorgeous self, Dylan has clear skies. So if you are in and watching the show, the Q&A is active. So if you click on the little icon for Q&A, which should be somewhere down at the bottom of your screen, you can make outrageous and outlandish requests of Dylan to try and find stuff in the night sky. Dylan, which setup you got? Are you cheating with the hyperstar, or are you going long focal length?
I'm going the long focal length.
Lots of demands.
I'm back. Here we go. Can you see my screen?
We can see you.
Me, yes. Okay, I'm just going to jump straight into my live view because I'm going to lose it, I reckon, in a second. This is fresh off the scope. And this is the Val Nebula, which is really a northern object, and I didn't even realize it was visible from here. But at the moment, over my house and over a lot of Australia, it's this transitional time between the summer targets and the winter targets, and all the good winter stuff is just dropping away, and all the good summer stuff isn't here yet. So we've just got this really boring patch of the sky over the top, and there's some nice jewels in there, but for the most part it's really featureless. So I've just trained my telescope way over to the north here, and I can just pick up little hints of the Val Nebula here, which I didn't even realize I could see from my house. So I'm chuffed.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out actually, because I'm slightly more familiar now. I've actually seen it this year. I think we've got 52 Cygni should be the bright one at the bottom there. So yeah, I think that's the Western Veil Nebula you've got at the bottom there, which at higher magnification is quite spectacular.
Well, this isn't hyperstar. This is at the full 2,350 millimeters at f10.
Okay, then that is not what I was expecting. That looks quite wide.
Well, I think it's because I've got a big chip. Because the QHY12 is such a big chip, I get quite a big resolution.
Yeah, that is a factor in these things. Well, I am. Yeah, because I've got a tiny chip, so my cropping factor is ridiculous. And we are also joined by the ever red-faced and glowing. Hi Paul.
There you go.
Hey, not bad. How's the sky down in New Zealand tonight?
Grey. Very
Grey.
grey.
Oh, darn it! I think it's payback for for any gear that you've bought over the past few months. I know my run of bad luck, I reckon, because of it. Oh no! Any sucker holes that you can try and work with?
No, uniform
No.
greyness.
Oh. Well, if you wanted to see live clouds, ladies and gentlemen, Paul can provide ample amounts. Excellent. And Trevor, dare I ask, how is the sky with you?
Oh, mate, beautiful.
Sweet.
Sky is absolutely nice. So yeah, I'm pretty much going to be facing what Dylan's going to be trying to do, and that's trying to get nothing out of something up there.
So boring. It's such a boring sky.
Well, I don't know what you're being like that for. You've got a few nice extra northernish targets. As you're probably not familiar with it, you know, Alberia, nice double star, quite pretty. Just throwing it out there. You know, although you actually no, if Dylan's working full focal length, you should be able to pick that one up nicely.
Cool.
Because yeah, Vero Nebula is part of Cygnus, Alberia is part of Cygnus. Yeah, I'll see what I can find. I'll load up the Sky Guide on the phone and cheat.
I do have. It's been a while since either of us have done a global star party, so I do have a few photos to share over the last few weeks. I've done a little bit of astrophotography, and I think Paul's got some solar to share as well.
I was going to say, I've had that lunar eclipse, and I photographed a galaxy far, far away in the time that between the last show I did with you. So yeah, it's been good times.
Great. Actually, do you want to show us the lunar eclipse now? Because that was a really good one just before we both disappeared.
Right then, I'm going to click on Paul and ask him to describe what we're looking at here, whilst I go and find my picture of the lunar eclipse.
Cool.
So, Paul, what are we looking at?
The bigger region of the two is active region 2434, and the little dot is active region 2431.
Nice. And calcium K, yeah?
Yes, and off to the side is just a little calcium K flare.
There are calcium K flares. I was not aware of this. Sweet. That's pretty cool. I was not aware that you could see flares in calcium K. Yeah. Well, there you go. And I've loaded up the wrong picture of the eclipse, because that's not an eclipse at all. I'm getting there. I found my picture. I've even got a time lapse I could hypothetically share, depending on how these things work out. Right.
Nice.
Yeah, because I don't have the image on my laptop, so I'm actually having to download it right now.
So yeah, I mean, the lunar eclipse wasn't too long ago, and we didn't get it down here in Australia, but it was a real big showstopper up there in the northern hemisphere, and it was a supermoon as well. So, and super is slightly overstated. It just means it's a little bit bigger than normal. It's not crashing down out of the sky or anything like that. But yeah, it was a big one. It was a big lunar eclipse for the northern hemisphere, and I don't know about your social media feeds, but I was just getting bombarded with red moons all day long while I was sitting here in Australia at work.
It was like M42 season, but with moons.
Yeah.
Right then, I have found it finally. There we go. Right then. But first of all, I'm going to stare at this hydrogen alpha view of a nice swirling vortex of fiery death. When was this taken, Paul?
This was yesterday's view of the same sunspot region as I showed in calcium K before.
Nice.
Very nice.
It looks very. I like the fact that it looks like a kind of almost like a swirling vortex in this one because the way it's structured. Yeah.
Really
nice. I'm envious because despite, as I say, the bright glow that was coming from behind me, it is actually quite cloudy out there. Right then. Check it out. I've done some astrophotography. Woohoo!
That looks great.
It came out pretty well. In fact, this is the first time I had so many requests of people wanting prints of this from me. I've actually started selling them, so I was like, yay! You know, I might be able to buy that off-axis guide that I want. But yeah, this was obviously this was the eclipse that wasn't so long ago now. This was my first lunar eclipse as well. This was the first one I'd ever seen. So for me, it was extra special. It was also extra hard because whilst in North America, it was slightly more convenient in terms of time. I didn't get to bed until about 4:30 in the morning, bearing in mind that I had to be back at work for 7:30. So yeah, but it was worth the mind-shattering tiredness. I will just zoom in a little bit. I will embiggen further. It says I don't really use this too much, but there we go. So,
so it is a long event for those who haven't seen one. It does go over several hours, which is good if you're a photographer because you can take your time, making sure you're nicely framed and focused and exposing each shot. And Chris, can you tell us a bit about how you dealt with the changing light conditions? Because I know that affects how you take the photo and how you expose as it changes.
Well, I wish you hadn't asked me that because, to be honest with you, I just winged it. I had no idea really what to anticipate. And if you look online, like if you Google lunar eclipse exposure, you get these really, really 1995 looking pages of long tables of you should be at this f-stop at this point and this shutter speed. And it's like, I'm not going to remember a pile of text. So I started off with the full moon and exposed it correctly. And every time I thought it looked a bit darker, I just changed the shutter speed. So I kept the same f-stop. Well, not f-stop. It wasn't f-stop. It's f10. It's a telescope. That all stayed the same ISO. And I just changed the shutter speed. I can tell you that the full moon there, everything's ISO 200, which was weird getting back used to ISO speeds again. 1,000th of a second for the normal full moon. And then I think I was up to, 2 seconds, maybe 3 seconds for when it was like fully eclipsed. So there's quite a change for going 1,000th of a second to 3 seconds. The cool thing I thought was though, when I was experiencing the eclipse, obviously this is my first one, so very excited. And suddenly, obviously, the moon goes all darkened out to almost a very dim red. And obviously, these photos are a bit of a lie. It's not that neon, I suppose, is a way of describing it. But all the stars come out, and then I noticed whilst looking through the viewfinder of the camera that I could actually see background stars behind the moon. So that was kind of a weird thing, both seeing the moon and stars at the same time. That was pretty cool. And actually, talking about the stars and the moon, I need to double check, but I think it's Aldebaran or something like that. There's going to be an occultation of a very bright star. I think it is Aldebaran. Coming up in the next few weeks. I think next week, and there's going to be this very bright occultation between this very bright star. I think it's like a magnitude 2 or 3 star, and the moon. So that should be quite pretty to photograph. But yeah, that was my lunar eclipse. And if I can just hold the floor for a second more, because me, Gabby, and all that. Have you missed me, guys?
It's not the same without you, Chris.
Yeah, right. Let me just... I am proud of one photo I have taken recently, and this is the first time I've ever taken a photo like this, so bear with me. I'm just actually saving it back to my laptop, and then I can... Alright, hang on. There's me waffling in the background, so you probably can see my ugly face again now. Can you see my ugly face again? Yes, you can. Sorry about that. Yeah, right. Right. I am so clumsy when it comes to this. I'm out of practice. This is my problem. So it's my fault. It's bad of me. Right then. Screen share. No, come on.
We should also mention to the audience that Chris had a power blackout before and has only managed to scramble into the room about 2 minutes before we went live to air. So
yeah, I am completely unprepared. Can we see that?
Yes, we can.
Now, bearing in mind I am still dealing with issues of flexure and still learning how to do RGB imaging, this is a Hydrogen Alpha RGB image of Bode's Galaxy, or M81, which is a pretty bright galaxy in the constellation of Ursa Major. And yeah, I'm don't get me wrong, I want more red data. It's a bit grainy for my liking, but I'm going to shut up and be like, I finally photographed a galaxy with some detail in it. So yeah, it's there's a black hole in the middle there. Apparently, it's a 70 million solar mass black hole. So don't get close. and the pink, kind of pinkish bits you can see, they're probably meant to be more red, but I processed it this way, so meh. Those were all kind of brought out using a hydrogen alpha filter, which shows off the kind of your nebulas, your star-forming region, or at least emission areas within the galaxy. And you can see
I
a
think
couple of...
that colour looks really good actually, because they're not supposed to be like blood red. I don't think they're more kind of salmon pink red anyway. So I think that's pretty good.
It's pretty close. Yeah.
I mean, admittedly, oh, sorry.
For a first attempt, mate, I think it's fantastic.
Mm.
I suffered with. I mean, I finally now figured out how I can align all these images without. I used to do it manually by hand in Photoshop, lining and tilting the layers together. Yeah, then I realized Deep Sky Stacker. You just find one good luminance frame. You just align all of them to that frame, and it makes it so much easier. So that's a lesson I've learned, folks. You can align all your data channels to one luminance image as long as you don't stack that image in each one. There's all your alignment automatically solved. So that's a tip from a newbie. If you haven't figured it out yourselves, I just learned it myself. And yeah, I'm still learning. But I'm actually, what gets me is that I can see in the lower left kind of, I know it's quite noisy, but you can actually see some kind of dust lane structure in there as well. So yeah, there you go. My first RGB HA image of a galaxy. So
that's great. You must be happy with that.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, though. I will pick fault with it. I know it's too noisy. I think, my stars could be rounder because I'm suffering from flexure at the moment. Things like that. But, I'm going to shut up and be like, yeah, I'm happy. That'll do. Next object, which is going to be the whole set nebula. Hopefully, fingers crossed. With my cropping factor, I can barely squeeze it in the frame. But right then, I have waffled enough. So there we go. Those are my 2 attempts at astrophotography in like a month. Because of the weather.
Now we do have the Q&A live, and I'd just like to say hello to Niels Heldens, who's joined us. Thanks, Niels. Here's a quick question: What inspired you guys to start with astronomy? Let's try and answer this in about 20 seconds if we can each. But I'm just going to say I just love space, and I bought a scope, and I just went down the rabbit hole, and it's just so addictive. It's like crack cocaine, and here I am. How about you, Chris?
And deep pockets.
My bank manager hates me, but I too have an addiction to big, shiny, pointy things that look at the sky. It's the sky. What is up there is beautiful and inspiring. I'm biased. I think astronomy is probably one of the most beautiful sciences out there, and it's just addictive. And I'm quite tolerant because I'm British to cold weather, so sticking outdoors for long periods of time isn't really too much of a problem. But it's beautiful. What can I say? Go on then, Trevor. What got you into it?
Me, mate, friends, basically. No, look, to be honest with you, I think it's just, it is a fantastic hobby. And the first time I seen Saturn, I thought, I've got to get myself a scope and do this. Yep, that was about it.
Yeah, they always lure you in with the good quality merchandise like Saturn, and that's it, you're hooked.
Yeah.
And Paul, whilst he's showing us, I'm assuming, some awesome flying alien thing, what got you into astronomy?
A sale at the local Dick Smith.
Dick Smith, awesome.
Awesome. Look, it's on sale. I'll see what happens. And now look at you. I bet you wish everything was still on sale.
Yes.
Yeah. So you start with Saturn, as Chris says, and then before you know it, you're chasing small pixels across the night sky like this. What are we looking at, Paul?
This is asteroid 2000 FL10, which passed us by on 10th, 11th this month.
I did hear about that. Yeah, that's very well resolved.
It's one of those asteroids that the cheap press keeps saying that we will doomed by, but it passed us by 25 million kilometres, so didn't hit us this time.
Close. Yeah, right. That's so close. I mean, okay, so 25 million kilometres away. And do we know how big this asteroid is?
Somewhere between 1.2 and 2.6 kilometres.
For an object that is that small, you've really got a blind picking it up. I mean, I know it's close, but still, that's a long way away. for such a small object. I mean, that's is it because it's quite reflective that we're getting a lot of light bounce back off it? I mean, that is a tiny object from that distance. You know, and they say you can't resolve down things on the moon below like a certain size. You've got a 1 kilometre size object. That's impressive. Yeah, that's the other thing with astronomy. It's yeah, you're looking at stuff really far away, and it's pretty awesome when you start thinking about the distances involved. And Dylan,
Yeah,
what
just while we're
was
on
this?
talking about flexure, I just thought this is something I tried tonight because one thing I suggested was pulling your guide scope back so that the back focal point is in line with the back focal point of your normal scope, and that's certainly helped me a bit in the past. But tonight I've tried this where I've taken the guide scope off, just put it on a level table, and then checked that it itself was level in the rings, so that you know that it's completely parallel with the main scope. And so far, it seems to be working pretty well. I haven't tried any 20-minute exposures or anything like that, but that might help.
I was going to say, yeah, I'm suffering from flexure myself. I don't know if you can see behind me. I think my actual thingamajiggy is in the way. Thingamajiggy being the technical term. There we go. So I have moved my guide scope back so it's now in line with this, much to your suggestion. I have tightened every bolt that I can possibly find on this thing and got the screwdriver out and probably over-tightened everything. I've put bits of cardboard in between the focal reducer and the 1¼ inch adapter to make sure it tightens on properly, because I did notice that would actually drop and move around. The only thing I'm suffering now is this rotating. But I mean, if I tug on the guide scope, everything pretty much moves solid. There is a bit of bend there, I think, but I'm going to try it out. Otherwise, off-axis guide in time, and yeah, more clouds that I will be summoning. But flexure is, I think, it's nice. I'm just going to say, I mean, I know a lot of people be aware that I have been upgrading my gear, getting a different mount, taking this, which is normally a foot-mounted telescope, off and putting it on to this NEQ6. I'm now drift aligning, not using an eyepiece. I use PhD2 to drift align, which it's so accurate. I'm just going to say to anyone watching right now, yeah, I used to be quite skeptical about it, and now it's like, no, it's so accurate. My guiding now is less than, I think it's very good now. That my guiding graph is pretty much very smooth. You know, if wind gets in the way, it's very noticeable. You know, it's one of those things. But now it's nice. It's nice to be at a point where flexure is really the only issue that I'm having to consider. Everything else seems to be all right now. So I am looking forward to this winter. You're saying you're in this doldrums of kind of winter targets going, summer targets coming in. Mm-hmm. I've got some beautiful winter targets that I'm going to be annoying everyone with, assuming it's clear sky. Folks, you're going to see a lot of M42. I'm not going to lie. There's going to be a bit of horse in there. Some crab. Got to get some crab in there. Yeah, there's a lot just in the constellation of Orion. Orion is so dense with really pretty bright things. So, yeah, I'm going to be boring everyone to death with those ones, and then hopefully maybe move on to another galaxy. I'm thinking M51. But your tracking's a bit off there, dude. Or is this deliberate?
Same asteroid as before. I've just stacked on the asteroid instead of the stars.
Ah, nice.
That's not. I mean, if that's resolved correctly, then yeah, your stars look nice and round, and that looks a little bit egg-shaped, and it might actually be egg-shaped.
Yeah, I think I was moving a bit fast. That's why it's egg-shaped.
One cool thing that that some home astronomers and home scientists can do is make a light plot of the asteroid as it moves, and as the light plot dips and you get this graph that goes up and down, a little bit like your PhD graph, but it's a consistent up and down, and you can run that through processing software, which will then create a 3D map of the approximate shape of the asteroid, which I find mind-blowing that you can get that kind of data just from a light plot. But there is, yeah, it's amazing what you can get from just some photons.
I'm going to say, Paul, converse with Dylan on that one. I want to see a light prop 3D map of the asteroid you photographed there. Just saying. That sounds cool. That'd be pretty awesome. Yeah, I mean that's. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's either a very fast asteroid or it is egg-shaped. Get that light plot, we'll find out. Ah. And Dylan, you appear to have found a galaxy far, far away.
So this is one of the things that's up in the current night sky that's otherwise fairly featureless and boring. But it's Sculptor, otherwise known as the Silver Dollar Galaxy. And this is my. I'm not really big on galaxies. I'm really impressed with Chris's work and with Kevin's work on galaxies, and I'm just sort of starting out with them. I can't get any of those red nebulas, which are in here, but I'm just not good enough yet to bring it all out. But this is only 55 minutes of data, so I was pretty happy to get those dust lanes and things like that for just a mere 55 minutes of RGB data. It's pretty heavily processed. I did push the black point quite a bit to hide all my nasty noise and light pollution and gradients and stuff, but you know, it's a galaxy.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you looked at my layers listing for my galaxy photo, trust me, there's a lot more than HARGB in there, I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, maybe she's born with it. Maybe it's Photoshop.
yeah, right. But I mean, you've got some lovely structure in that image there. You've got a hydrogen alpha filter, so you should be able to throw in some HA at some point. Well,
I do for the hyperstar, but this is at the full focal length, so this is straight RGB. I've got nothing.
In that case, then, well, you know what your next purchase will have to be. Just saying, but yeah, I mean, that's a lovely photo, some great detail in those dust lanes there. I think Fletcher was kind of fuzzing mine out a little bit, but nice. And of course, Paul has. Well, I'm just not familiar with this one. When was this taken, Paul?
This is from the start of the month.
Nice and early grab then.
Yeah, were you up early, Paul?
It was actually after a star party, if I recall.
Oh, nice.
And you didn't bring this live? Well. Nice. Right, that's lovely. I mean, what was this image? Is this just luminance?
Yeah, unfortunately the clouds got here before I finished, so this is about 8 minutes of luminance.
That's still really nice. I was going to say, I am looking forward to trying to figure out this in narrowband. I'm curious as to what I can pull out of this in narrowband, but I mean, I know that it's one of those things. Everyone can just. You see forums and I'm sure Google Plus will light up with everyone's pictures of M42 and people get a little like, oh, it's this one again. But you can't blame them because that is beautiful.
And it's so easy because it's so bright and after all of this time like agonizing over these dim galaxies, these tiny galaxies, suddenly you got this bright object. You can do 1 minute exposures and you're getting amazing results.
I was going to say this was actually my first deep sky object. Surprise, surprise! And I didn't have a wedge at that point, so I was limited to like 20 to 30 second exposures. I didn't even really know what polar aligning was back then, and even then, you know, even with that, I still managed to get some kind of slightly smeary but colourful, bright object, which at the time was like, whoa! But, for those of you curious about this object, this is an emission nebula, and there are 4 bright stars right in that white core there, which are aptly named the trapezium. And these are 4 bright, hot. I think I don't know what the size they are, but they're very. I think they're pretty large stars, and they are throwing out so much radiation and ultraviolet, etc., that they're exciting all the molecular hydrogen and other elements within this cloud, because this is actually, I suppose the best way of describing the Orion Nebula is a hole in the much larger kind of Orion complex. It's the energy coming off these stars has all blasted a hole in the side of this dust cloud, and it's just illuminating this kind of shot into it. So that kind of tunnel kind of look, that kind of feeling like you're looking into something is actually quite accurate, because you are looking deeper into this much larger cloud. And it's also convenient. You've got this nice kind of dusty, dark areas in front of it as well, which gives it that nice kind of extra detail. So it is a fantastic object, and if you do have a scope out this winter, even if you're not imaging, It's a great one to look at because even under moderately light polluted skies, with your eyes adjusted, you will actually see some colour, which is very rare to see colour out of nebulae because it's a very dim. They're normally very dim, and you can just see them in kind of grayscale. This you will actually get some colour out of. I'm now going to click on Trevor and have a look at what we've got here.
No guesses?
I want to say it's a globular cluster.
Yeah, well, it is. Yeah, that's 47 Tuck.
Nice.
Near the small Magellanic Cloud. Yeah?
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet. And what kind of exposure length are we looking at here? Is this?
Oh, God, I'll have to add it all up. It's an f5. It's an f5 scope anyway. So put it there. There's actually I don't have to add anything up. There's no magnification on this whatsoever.
Nice. I was going to say this looks. I mean, I can see this moving around. So this is pretty live here.
This is live. Yeah.
Nice. So we're looking live deep space.
Yeah.
Oh,
50, what was it? 1.5 meter length at f5.
Nice. Decent magnification. Nice and fast. Lovely.
Yeah.
I like it. And you've got some nice. It's nicely resolved. I mean, you can see some of the core stars and what have you. And
yeah, it's focused about as best as I can get it. I don't think I'm going to be able to do any better than that.
Well, I think that looks fine to me. I would be happy with that, especially given it's live. We're now looking at live deep space. So, does anyone actually have off the top of their head, no pressure guys, how far this is away in terms of light years? I mean, I'm assuming it's relatively close.
No
idea.
idea.
Frantic Wikipediaing going on in the background there.
Yeah, I think everyone's hunting for it.
Well, whilst everyone's hunting, I'm just going to stare at it going, space. I've kind of missed it recently, even though I've got that galaxy photo. It's been cloudy solid for about the past week now, and it's annoying.
Just so you guys know, this was only a 1-star alignment, so...
And you found it with a 1-star alignment. That's impressive. I do a 1-star alignment, and I need to find another 6 stars to get back on track. That's actually something I've learned recently. Well, when I was trying to photograph M81, it's amazing how quickly you can lose a galaxy, even though you know where it is. Just like looking in the sky, you know roughly where it is. And then I have found that finding like a magnitude 5 or 6 star nearby to kind of get it close in is the best way of going. But
it is. Yeah. I pretty much do that. I just look at which star I want. I know where the object is. I just do the 1-star alignment on that and move to the object when it's done.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say when I was photographing, I'm going to get them mixed around. I always do M27. I think that's the one in Lyra, the Ring Nebula.
Right.
That one I tend to find. Luckily, it's immediately placed dead bang in the middle of two of the brightest stars within that constellation. So you find one of them, lock it on, and then it pretty much within like a couple. It's normally bang centering the frame once you've done that. So that's always useful. But
you've got to keep in mind, I don't use a guide scope either, so there's no guide scope on this. This is just tracking live as you see it, so there's not much movement there. There's a little bit.
That's reasonable. I was going to say, I mean, with the way I line things up, God, I mean, that just slid off the screen about 10 minutes ago. Nice light space. I'm impressed. I was going to say, that's 30 FPS apparently. I'm looking at your information at the top there as well. 640, 480. Mm-hmm. I think you should get a stack of these and then
Yeah, it'd be a good idea, wouldn't it?
Yeah, right. Get a stack going, and that's impressive. Though I like that. That is really nice. Right then, I'm going to click on Paul and go. Is this Photoshop? What are we looking at?
Yes, it is photoshopped. This is the occultation of Venus by the Moon earlier on this month.
Ah, nice. And I was going to say, I mean, this is a composite of the two, but this is if you had really good vision and perfect exposure on both objects, this is what it would have looked like. You've got it's a lovely sharp moon and nice kind of crescent Venus in the background there. That is lovely. When was this? When did this happen? Sorry, I've forgotten now.
I think it was the 9th of this month.
So, as anyone who understands geometry or the solar system at all, obviously Venus and the Moon are exactly next to each other. In fact, Venus is pretty much Earth-sized, but because of the way everything moves around the solar system, every now and then you get these lovely events where something gets in front of something else. And in this case, you have Venus going behind the Moon. Obviously, Venus can never go in front of the Moon. If that happens, then yeah, we're doomed.
And it's called an occultation, which makes people think it's some kind of satanic ritual or something. But astronomy is filled with these kind of oldie-worldy terms, which the New Age crews pick up on.
And I'm assuming this one we're looking at is the original shot.
This is the raw image.
Nice. So there you go, folks. That is Venus visually passing behind the Moon, which doesn't mean that you're going to find love this year, folks. But if you do, it's purely by coincidence. Actually, that is one thing I do find on my Facebook. Not so much Google Plus. Thank you, Google Plus, but on my Facebook, every now and then I get these questions going. So, Chris, yeah, you into astrology, right? No, I'm not. But that was nice. I don't know if that was visible from where I was in the world, or if it was, I had clouds anyhow. So was this a southern only kind of event, or would have this been visible northern hemisphere?
It's pretty local, New Zealand and Australia.
I get a lunar eclipse. You guys get an occultation. I suppose it's fair. I've actually seen an occultation. That's next on the list. Actually, one of my other jobs on the list, although I need to learn a lot more about this mount, is to try and photograph the International Space Station. I use an app. I think Dylan used the same app, this Sky Guide app that's on the. I think it's probably on Android as well, but I have it on iPhone. And I keep getting this beep come up going, "Space Station passing." I'm like, "That's great. Can you get rid of the clouds too?" But yeah, that's really nice. And of course, actually talking about the space station, occultations could occur with not just celestial objects like planets and our moon, but Paul, that's just showing off. But that can also happen, as Dylan experienced earlier this year, when you got the space station going in front of the moon, and Paul's got this epic picture. That is nice.
It's one thing to get a silhouette, but to actually resolve the space station where you can see the light hitting the modules and seeing the solar arrays in such clear relief like that, it's really nice.
I was going to say, Paul, how, when, and where did you capture this?
This is about a year ago.
This is lovely. Whoa. Okay, that's like a flying fortress. That's impressive. Actually, there's that one. Oh, I like that one. Now you're just showing off. I have no idea how to make my mount track such an event, and that's something I need to learn and research, but it's really awesome. I'm also terrified of trying to make my mount move that quickly, but let's see what happens.
Just loot a duck.
Yeah, it's actually alright because I don't have an observatory, so I can just run to the other side of the garden. It's fine. In your case, I'd imagine ducking is very essential. And I was going to say your observatory roof would have to. Yeah. Actually, that brings me to another question. Actually, because I've never actually had an observatory. So, does your how is the roof set up on yours then? Does it? It doesn't have to move at the same time as the scoop, I'm assuming. I'm assuming you've just got a slit that it will slew across. Cool. How does your observatory work? How do you stop the roof? Basically, what I'm saying, how do you stop the roof getting in the way of the scope?
Yeah, the roof moves with the scope.
Ah, that's pretty badass.
Which you probably can't see because it's too dark.
And I don't want you whacking your head either, so you know.
That's one of the things with having the difference with the roll-off roof and the dome. With the dome, you do get that temperature control because you're not getting the weather and the temperature changing so much, and the wind as well. But you do have to consider that the roof has to move with the scope, and you want to make sure that your software is pretty solid and capable.
All right. Mind you, if you're in a observatory, you're not likely to encounter what we're looking at here.
So this I almost stepped on 2 nights ago while I was going out to photograph the Milky Way, which is just disappearing out of view at the moment. It's a beautiful bandy snake. It's not harmful, but it's certainly very cool looking. And just in the spirit of live, I've got another little bit of wildlife which is sitting outside next to my telescope right now, which is this one here.
Green tree frog.
Yeah, nice little green tree frog. It's getting warmer here, so it's just mosquitoes and snakes and frogs and geckos, and it's a zoo.
Those things make a noise in your downpipes, mate.
They do, and they're muscly. They're big and beautiful and muscly. And I'll just show you. I've moved offices at the minute, so I'm sitting in my new office, which looks a little bit like this. I've got a window behind me, and I can actually see my gear. So I'm not too far away. It's not exactly an observatory, but it's doing me well so far.
I was going to say, that will do nicely. I was going to say, I retreat to the bedroom now. Once it's all set up, I can just log on the computer upstairs and watch it. So, but I prefer that setup where I can actually see it, and I can just keep an eye on those cables.
Yeah.
Cables. Yeah. But that's nice. What's the green glow, by the way? I'm curious.
That would be the laser beam that I use to disable the street light, which is directly above the telescope. Because there's a street light in my backyard, really I can't do any of this unless I turn that street light off. So the green glow, it's a long exposure, and the green glow is that laser beam that I use to disable it.
I would have. Now I'm not an expert, but I would have thought it would have to be a red laser to disable a street light. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, any light will do actually, because it's trying to detect whether the sun is up or not. So if you can fool it into thinking the sun's up, then it just switches off.
I like it. It's like astronomy. It's one of those things that is not only an addictive thing to get into, but would occasionally make you get quite creative when it comes to disabling lights.
Now we do have a question in Q&A from James Oliver. It says, "Hi everyone, I was wondering if anyone uses GIMP rather than Photoshop to manipulate images. Any advantages, disadvantages?" Now GIMP, for those who don't know, is the Linux version of it's the most popular Linux graphics editor, and it's not modeled off Photoshop, but there are skins that you can get so that it works much like Photoshop. It uses the same sort of paradigm and all that, and it's very powerful. I haven't used it for a few years, but it is very powerful and will do a lot of what Photoshop can do. To be honest, with my astrophotography, I'm pushing over to PixInsight to do a lot of the stuff before I head over to Photoshop. So now I'm butting up against the limitations of Photoshop. You can do a lot of good stuff in GIMP, and I've seen a lot of good stuff out of GIMP, but when you start going really deep diving on this astrophoto stuff, a lot of the main packages just don't do the stuff that you need it to do, which is why we need stuff like Deep Sky Stacker and Nebulosity and PixInsight, because they do special functions in terms of averaging out noise, stacking and aligning and stuff like that. So yeah, you can definitely use GIMP for manipulating the colors and the end result and giving it a bit of pop, but for the pre-processing, you still need some dedicated Astro software.
I was going to say, I mean, all my stuff so far is Photoshop, but I'm probably going to eventually go to the darker side and see what bits of software I like. I was going to say, everything in terms of sharpening. I mean, my planetary images I sharpen within Photoshop, and my stacking of colours so far, because I'm still learning RGB imaging and things like that, is all done in Photoshop as well. That is DSS, so Deep Sky Stacker, to get all the data kind of lined up. And there's a bit of histogram jiggling there just to get the data points set to roughly where I can manage it within Photoshop. And then, yeah, I will go down the dark route that Dylan's gone eventually. It's been a dark transition recently, how going all filters and what have you. So, yeah, I think GIMP is a perfectly capable bit of software. I think you should be able to get it to do what you need it to do. But eventually, if you get like really into this, and as you probably figured out, you get really into it quite quickly. Yeah, you'll be going down the darker route of specialist software. I've yet to really have that conversation.
I'm a fan of alternative operating systems, and I'm a Mac user myself, but really the software is written for Windows. A lot of the good stuff is, and I hate to say it, but I've had to resort to Windows for a lot of the stuff that I need to do. It's unfortunate, because I hate Windows.
I think that is one of the things with astronomy. Whilst I think it's the subject in itself is very popular, and a lot of people will love looking at our pictures and the night sky and things like that. But if we're actually out there doing this stuff, because it is a specialist, you find things are much more expensive, and things are written to, I think, the lowest common denominator. So when it comes to Windows, pretty much everyone and his mother uses a Windows-based operating system, so they will write towards that. I think eventually, this as a hobby, as an interest, has certainly gained popularity over the past few years. And I think you eventually find down the line that there is more software available for other operating systems. But until then, yeah, you're kind of limited. And I'm going to check out Paul. Well, not his beautiful, handsome self, but this rather nice prominence. When was this taken, Paul?
This was pretty earlier this month, I think. The 9th, this one was taken.
Yeah. I don't know, it's that double stack, isn't it? You get that lovely, sharp detail on these. Or you just really fancy the skill. But that is nice.
Really nice detail.
I was going to say, you can see that it's part of the structure is relatively speaking, closer to us. It's further around the sphere of the sun, and then that background detail is a bit further over the edge. It's got that lovely kind of three-dimensional structure to it. I love sun photos. I love Paul's sun photos. He's the darn man that got me into all of this, but it's lovely. Ooh. Okay, I'm just going to shush now and stare at this one. Nice. I swear down you have better seeing conditions than I do in general as well. That's my excuse, I'm sticking to it. There's some lovely rich detail in there. I'm curious, by the way, because I've been experimenting myself with exposing the disk, the surface details as it were, and then just using like a selection mask to then bring out the background detail rather than doing two separate exposures. I'm just wondering, is I'm getting better results from my edges by doing that, and you've got lovely details still in your edges, which I normally lose if I do two exposures. So is this one exposure which you've then stretched the background, or is this still using the two exposure method?
This is the single shot.
So this is something I've seen recently that they will actually show out if you. So are you selectively dragging that background information out using like a separate layer mask, or because obviously I think it'd be quite faint relative to the disk.
The key is to have a good camera that's got a good dynamic range on it.
What camera are you using then?
It's the Point Grey Grasshopper 3.
They are meant to be very good cameras. That's lovely. And I'm going to click on Dylan because has had some.
Well, as I was saying, the sky is ridiculously boring right now. we've already gone and showed you a globular cluster. You know it's getting dire, and now I'm showing you a star. So it's getting even worse. But this is Altair, and you can see on my PhD graph. I'm just proving to you that this is actually live. This isn't a pre-record, but you can see the wind is just pushing my scope around out there. So I'm getting these stars are doubling up, and it's a bit awful. And,
now, by the way, I'm going to ask you to do something here, which is normally because I do this as well to hide my guiding. But do you want to change your Y scale to say 4? Let's have a gander. Aha! The truth.
Yeah, no, this is terrible. This is about 300% worse than I would usually use for imaging deep sky stuff. So when you have these nights, it's kind of a practice night.
Yeah, right. I was going to say I know the feeling all too well. Because, do you use PhD to drift a line now?
I do. Yeah, it's really nice. I'm not sure it's full effect, but I use that to dial it in first, and assuming there's no wind, I can get it right down to total 0.3 or thereabouts, which is really nice.
That's better than mine. My best so far is a stable 0.8. And for anyone watching this right now, the smaller the number, the better. But I think 0.3. That's ridiculous. I mean, even your image scale is not that fine, so you're going to have some nice results out of that.
Yeah, especially if I've got the hyperstar on, then it's going to be completely unnoticeable.
But yeah, that's cheating though. I keep telling you this. I'm expecting some nice. Actually, I don't know. You should be able to find it on your app tool. That's the Code du Soleil, whatever it's called, that French-sounding sky guy. Oh, you use Sterling, don't you? You should be able to find Alberia, which is a nice double star. So we're not just looking at one star. Should be looking to. It should be very north. It's in the same area as your Veil Nebula. So I'm going to get you looking for that, and I'm going to click on Trevor. Now Trevor. Alberia. So Albireo.
That's the I got the Tarantula Nebula up there, Chris, at the moment.
Live Tarantula. Well, hello, sir. That is. I mean, what camera are you using? Sorry, is this DBK?
Well, I'm not supposed to be able to see deep sky with this camera. It's meant to be a planetary camera. It's actually a image source DBK color CCD, but I push its limits.
Yeah, so, I mean, for a planetary camera to give us live tarantula that's pretty impressive. That's showing off, I reckon. I mean, obviously you've got noise there and movement and what have you, but that is still. I mean, that shows it's live, and that's a live object very far away, very far away.
The noise is there because I got to push the camera beyond its limits, and so of course you're going to get all the rubbish there. But it's still something to look at.
I was going to say that's what stacking's for, folks. Get rid of that noise and stretching out what we can in terms of detail. So that's pretty impressive for a planetary camera. That is, I'm impressed by that, and it's live tarantula. I love the tarantula too. So that's really awesome. Nice. And you've got that kind of, I think, reddish blue. I'm going to almost call it like that kind of. Yeah, it's this purple.
Yeah,
that's reddish blue, isn't it? It's purple.
Yeah, there's sort of a purplish colour to it. Yeah.
I like it. That is really nice. And it looks like Dylan's cheating you because he's not going to lie to you, but he's got some, and it's white. But that is lovely, and I can see you're really abolishing the green these days. Do tell us about this one, buddy.
I went back, and this is an old set of data from my Hyperstar. Not that old, it was last year, but I went back after all of this discussion that we've been having about green, and I really took the time to pull the green right down and push it towards its natural salmons to get the nebula as we would see it. Now, I probably should clarify what I said before about green. There is green in space, and it comes from sulfur emissions, and you will get green in nebulas, but it's really, really subtle. It's the point of almost not being there. There is no way for green to come from stars. So being that there's no green from stars and that the matrix on your camera has a bias towards green because there's an extra green pixel, a lot of the images you see coming off our scopes live are biased towards green. But also, this nebula is in another galaxy. You know, it's in the Magellanic Cloud, and it's so far away that the red is shifted. So to get it back to this natural color, there is a fair bit of processing that you've got to do to get it back there. But this is a more natural version of what the Tarantula Nebula looks like, and quite wide field. You can see all sorts of nebulas all around it, and the massive density of stars in the galaxy in the lower left.
It is a beautiful region of the sky that I unfortunately can't see. Now, I am just going to say, there is green in space, as Dylan pointed out, because also, you know, these people lie, but these are the filters. So you can see you've got hydrogen alpha, red end of the spectrum, oxygen 3, you can see there, it's kind of a lightish bluey green, aqua green, and then you've got sulfur 2, which is just another shade of red. There is also hydrogen beta, which shows up in the blue end of the spectrum. So you could effectively do RGB, but most people go for oxygen 3, sulfur 2, and hydrogen, so or H alpha specifically. And I'm just going to click on Paul here, because, oh look! Oh, everyone's true to me today. You missed me, guys, haven't you? This is what this is. Lovely, Paul. When was this taken?
Same picture.
Yeah,
Same
right.
picture about a year ago.
Nice. And this one, I mean, this is, now, I'm going to say, broadly speaking, now, Paul, what did you image this with? In terms of, were you using filters?
That's just LRGB with some H alpha thrown in.
Nice. And then, Dylan, yours was imaged with?
Just Hyperstar RGB.
Nice. So, and you can see here that, I mean, if I flick between the two pictures, you know, color processing and interpretation of data can throw out some very different looking pictures. Obviously the same objects, but I suppose different tints is a way of putting it. Also slightly different orientations. I'm just going to flick between the two.
Yeah, I think Paul's in a little bit closer as well, a little bit more magnification.
I was saying, is that a cluster? I can see in Paul's. Yeah, I can see it in both photos actually. In Paul's photo here, it's upper middle. There seems to be like a kind of a dense area of stars. I'm assuming that's a cluster.
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, this is someone else's galaxy, so it's full of clusters and nebulas and all the same sort of stuff we get in our Milky Way. But we see them in this image, and they're all tiny, these tiny little details. This is great.
I was going to say that's the other thing as well. Referring back to that earlier question, getting into astronomy, it's stuff like this when you're looking at. I mean, obviously these galaxies are relatively speaking pretty close to us compared to a lot of the other ones we see and look at, and the fact that you can make out detail in someone else's neighborhood is, you know, and by neighborhood I mean, you know, thousands of light years away, and I mean that actual cluster there looks quite resolved. I mean, you can definitely see. I wonder how big that. If that cluster we moved it to our galaxy, I wonder how big that would be. I'm flicking between the two pictures so everyone watching can appreciate the
Neil Heldens asks, I have a girlfriend and I want to introduce her to astronomy. What is the best way to introduce her to astronomy? I think it's great to do outreach, and just being passionate yourself about astronomy is the best way. I certainly wouldn't want to force astronomy onto my significant other. She knows how crazy I am about it, and I'm fairly sure she's not as interested as I am, and that's cool. That's my thing. But astronomy is great for just going out and camping and having a few beers under the stars, and that's totally compatible with having girlfriends.
And falling over your own boat.
I'm going to throw it out there. If you want to, I think you have to go for the easy to spot, immediately impressive ones. I think people's attention spans when it comes to, like, you know, using diverted vision and things like that are very quite short. But if you throw out the Moon, Saturn, or Jupiter, I will guarantee you will at least get some kind of jaw dropping going on. Or solar, because that's in the daytime. It's not going to muck around with body clocks. But That's quite specialist. But yeah, there we go. So it pulls out. Look, shiny ball of death. I mean, it's the sun. In 3 wavelengths of light, which is a bit extreme if you're just going to introduce a girlfriend to astronomy. You know, look, I've spent tens of thousands. Now that normally gets angry looks, but you know, it's a beautiful picture. Well, you distracted me now. But yes, yeah, easy targets, and lots of bundling, and the promise of food. That's a good start. I would recommend.
Or just find a girl who's already into astronomy. It's much easier.
This is true. This is true. That's cheating though.
There are lots of they're awesome.
I was going to say, a friend of mine, Liz, has just bought herself a telescope and has been asking me about a million questions or what have you. But so there's a lot, I mean, at the end of the day, there are a lot of people enthusiastic about astronomy, and it's quite an easy subject to get people enthusiastic about. Even if it's just like, oh, that's pretty. I know, and you don't have to have a telescope to get people into astronomy. When I'm going to click on Dylan, segue. And you've got wide views like that. Although Dylan, poser much, really? Posing there a bit? I'm going to call you Brian Fox from now on. You just need you wistfully looking into the sky.
The cliche selfie astro photo, but they're ubiquitous on Instagram, and I love it. So I went and did this just 2 nights ago, just before I stepped on the snake, the bandy. But you can see how low the Milky Way is getting over the horizon now. It's so low, and it's probably the end of the season really now that the moon's back again. But for a short time there, it's really nice to take these photos where you can get the Milky Way just on the horizon and put stuff in front of it. There's some magnificent apods recently of some stellar stuff right on the horizon, just taken with normal cameras. Yeah, it's a pity about the clouds. I think this photo would have been much better if those clouds in particular weren't there, and we could actually see the galactic core.
I'm actually thinking about starting a club up on Google Plus just called Cloud Haters. You know.
I don't think drought-ridden farmers will appreciate that.
yeah, I was going to say, California right now, they probably don't appreciate the idea of no clouds. But, yes, I've taken a few selfies when I'm staring at the eyepiece, doing my thing. It has to be done, I suppose. But, you need to practice your wistful looking into the sky. You got to do the quintessential Brian Cox, just
romantically lit with a red LED.
Yes. Yes. Actually, I was going to say, if you're trying to woo man or woman, nothing like a bit of starlight. You can romanticize it up no end of time. Especially during meteor season, if you spot a few shooting stars, just time it right. Oh dear, I am a terrible, terrible person. Thanks, guys. I'm 15 years old, so I'm not allowed to drink beer or any other alcoholic drinks. Well, if you can't drink alcohol, that's fine. You're out in the countryside. And I shouldn't be a bad influence. And I have also just checked the time, and believe it or not, you can. We've managed to cover an hour.
Yeah, we have. It's been a good show, actually. Thanks for coming by on such short notice as well.
I had to. As soon as the power came on, you should have seen how quickly I grabbed the laptop. So much so I actually stubbed my toe on the kitchen table. So, yeah. But thank you for everyone that joined in Q&A. Some great questions and some great comments and feedback in there. So that's always a great thing to have. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can hear. I apologise if you can, but my washing machine is kicked in as well, and I forgot that was even turned on because the power went out. So, at least it works. So I apologise for any background noise you're suffering there from me. I don't know how loud it is. How bad is it, Dylan?
No, it's not too bad. Also, apologies to Stephen Doy. He looks like he's got Jupiter and Mars, and he's streaming right now, but we're just shooting off. So please join us for the next show if you can. We'd love to have more streams.
Darn it! I was going to say, if you join us really quickly, we could end with a live view of that. if you guys are willing to stretch for 10 minutes, you know, shall we try and throw them in quickly?
We can certainly try.
I'm not at work. I'm still on holiday for like another 48 hours, and I'm back at work. Sad face. I've also got a question here. Is the universe flat? No one knows. It could be a movie strip. It could be spherical. It could be infinite. It could be donut shaped. Donut shaped is actually quite a popular theory, I believe. You know, who knows? It could be on the back of a turtle. That is a big question that can't be answered easily.
But I think certainly from what we know, the fact that the universe is expanding in all directions, from what we can observe anyway, we just can't see the end of any of those edges.
Yes, I was going to say, I think, was it 13.8 billion light years back to our horizon, and they reckon that I think it's like 92 billion light years across that is now actually at. And it's very big, and we're never really, even if we do, you know, somehow magically come up with interstellar travel, chances are by the time we figure that out, you know, everything's going to be so far away, we're only ever going to get explore a galaxy anyhow, so a la Star Trek style. But yeah, that's a big question. Hard to answer.
Now, I did send an invite to Stephen Doy, but I don't think it's happening. It says he'll make us an image. Yeah, please do, Stephen, and please do. I'm not sure where you are, but it sounds like this is the right time zone for you. So in another 2 weeks, we'll have another show. The moon will be annoying us all, and 2 weeks after that, there'll be another one.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I was going to say, it does say Canada here, so yeah, please join us. If you can bring in some live from that end of the world, that would be absolutely fantastic. So, you know, we are all, I keep repeating this, we're always looking for people to come and join us and stream live views. I mean, we've had a live deep space from Trevor tonight, so first of all, thank you, Trevor.
No problem. All good.
Always appreciated, mate. And hey, you've had clear skies, which is pretty awesome and rare. It feels very rare for you, so I'm hoping you're enjoying that and get some images out of it tonight.
I am, mate. I'll be staying up a little bit longer, so yeah.
Sweet. Well, enjoy the rest of your evening stargazing, and thank you very much for joining us.
No problem.
Paul, I know you've been greyed out with the dark, murky clouds, but thank you for bringing your beautiful pictures into the show.
Hopefully next week we might get some nice clear sky.
Yeah, right. Touch wood. I'm just going to be crossing fingers and getting all sorts. That'll be absolutely fantastic. And you know, enjoy that next week.
I am, mate. I'll stay up a little bit longer, so yeah.
Sweet. Well, enjoy the rest of your evening stargazing. Okay, I'm getting some kind of loopy feedback in this here. I'm just going to yeah. There we go.
Hey, Stephen, we can see you in the room there. If you can hear us and you can share your view right now, then we can close on some live. Look at that.
Hey!
I can see Jupiter's moons, and I can see Mars. That's fantastic.
Nice. Thank you for just diving in at the end here and giving us another live view. Like it. That is nice. And please, yeah, I mean, if this is good in terms of timing and stuff for you and you've got some clear skies, in 2 weeks' time we'll be doing the same kind of time zone show. So, you know, nice. That is, Jupiter and Mars are the same thing. I can't wait for Jupiter and Mars to come around my end. It's kind of here, but it's a little early for me in the morning. I think it's like 5 o'clock in the morning. It just kick over the horizon. So I can't wait for that season to come into play. I've missed Jupiter a lot, so that is nice to see. Thanks for that early treat for me. Daytime, sat down, washing machine going, I'm looking at a live view of Jupiter and Mars. That's awesome. The wonders of technology these days.
Yeah.
And I would also like to say thank you to Dylan for, well, dealing with boring sky.
Yeah, thanks. It's always a pleasure, and it's nice to be able to talk and to share some live stuff as well, and my astrophotography through the week. Just wanted to show you there's Alberio just disappearing there over the horizon. There was no chance.
I did think it possibly a bit low for you, but well, it's a nice double star. Next time around, we'll just you'll have to do some. You've got Andromeda.
Oh yeah, but I'm going to try Andromeda next. It's going to be a bit pointless like the Veil from here, but it's still nice for us to try.
Yeah, right. It's always worth, as you say, practice nights. It's worth it. And I'd also like to briefly give a special mention to Paul as well, who did the hosting last time round and did a stellar job as far as I reckon. So cheers for that, dude. Yeah. Well, we should end on a live star. Live star. Although, if you romanticize it, then it's a giant ball of hydrogen fusion, thousands of light years away, or at least relatively close, probably hundreds of light years away, actually. So, thank you to everyone who participated and watched. We are back next week for the I'm Out of Sync, so that will be the one where I'm crushingly tired after a shift. That will be the Western nighttime edition, so hopefully, fingers crossed, everyone cross fingers for me, I might have some clear skies, and I might be able to get this bad boy out there and try and give you some live views. If not, hopefully someone in the Americas or also in England can join us as well, or Europe. Just anyway, if you're about and you're that side of the planet where it's dark and you want to join us and bring us some live views, please do. That'd be awesome. I'm hoping everyone in the gallery below gets some nice clear skies and get some images for next week. And thank you for joining us. And we're going to, well, I'm going to have a cup of coffee now, and these guys are going to take pictures of either grey skies or boring space. So thank you for watching, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
See ya.